You're gonna moan, aren't you?
No, I thought it was gonna be a bigger burp, but then it was one of those. It was one of those little.
Oh God, that's fucking hilarious. I don't care. What if I had a Raid Shadow Legends like sponsor, but I didn't tell you about it until we were recording? How would you react?
What other raids? I'd probably die laughing, bro.
We're like, it's like I didn't tell you about it. It's just like,
we have a sponsor today. Oh yeah, what's that? Oh, you already know. Raid Shadow Legends.
Hey, long time no see. I know it's been a long time since I did an episode of the podcast. I know I've been doing a lot of gaming stuff on the channel recently, if you've been keeping up with that. But if you couldn't tell already, had to take a little bit of break from the podcast because I am in a new setting. I'm actually in college dorms right now. And I was kind of focusing on kind of just working a little bit more, getting some more money in my pocket. Not much of it, but money, as well as just kind of getting some things figured out for college. So I had to take a little bit of a break from it, but I'm back better than ever. I'm going to start at least trying to, because I'm still a college student at the end of the day. I'm going to be trying to release an episode of the podcast at least once every week. And if not once every week, once every 2 weeks. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know that I'm back better than ever. And welcome to this episode of the ToastOnRye Podcast. On this episode, we're going to be talking a lot about some Spider-Man stuff, such as the new Spider-Man game, some Olivia Rodrigo stuff. Hopefully you're here for the ride for it. So hopefully you enjoy the episode, and I will see you later. How are you feeling, Bailey?
I'm all right. I'm already stressed for the school year.
I was like, are you lying, or like, are you not? Are you actually like?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine as like you zoom in and there's just a tear coming down the one eye.
He needs therapy.
Nah, I'm okay. It's been stressful for moving this year for school. Mm-hmm. For those of you watching the video, we're in our dorm right now.
Yeah, actually, something new that's happened. We are, for the first time ever, well, and also I haven't released an episode in like 4 months. I should probably explain that. But no, it's honestly just because I was trying to focus on getting. I worked a lot, so I was trying to save a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And then obviously I moved into the dorms here, and I was mainly trying to focus on like what I need to do to make sure I move up safely, make sure I get all my classes scheduled and shit like that. So just took a massive break from the podcast. But
I mean, hell, I was working with you most of that time. We were at a restaurant, and that took up.
Oh, that shit sucked, bro. That was the first and last time I am ever working at a restaurant, dog.
Yeah, it was okay. It was I had enough of an opportunity to make some decent money during the summer, which is all I could ask for, but it was not ideal, and it definitely would not be my first choice. But I don't know.
It may not be ideal, but you did make a shit ton of money though. But
very quickly. But
the problem is there's too much bullshit at said restaurant that didn't excuse.
And it's an overall restaurant issue too. Like, it's not even just this one place. This is a multi. Like, this is the restaurant business that is an issue for the restaurant business. Like,
oh, for sure. Yeah. Like
you should not be keeping your servers like. I'm sorry. I don't care how short staffed you are. If you're a server and you, excuse me, if you're, my bad.
No, you're good, bro.
If you're a server and you're scheduled 9 to 5, that's a weird ass schedule for a server, but let's just put that there, 9 to 5, and you're there. No, not even 9 to 5. If it's open to close, that's one thing. But if it says you open until 5 and then you're there 10 to close, that's a problem.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, and also another problem with just the whole restaurant industry in general is that a lot of the employees, like, I kind of learned this the hard way. Like, even when I was like, because for context, the restaurant that we worked at, we had takeout, and my main job there was to take orders over the phone, get yelled at for said orders, for shit that I cannot control, and then just bring the pizza to them. That was my entire job. There's nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
But even with that, I never got a break. I always had to ask for a break, and that's the issue that I had with it. But it's even worse because you were a server, and like, you don't even get to ask for a break. It's either
no,
it's just slow, so you get to maybe sit down, eat maybe,
or you just never get a break. You just are constantly walking around getting people shit or taking orders and shit, and you just never got a break. And I kind of have a problem with that.
My first week there, like my first major weekend shift after I was done being trained, I didn't go to the bathroom for 6 hours straight.
And that's a problem, bro. Like, that might cause like bodily
That's what
issues,
I'm saying.
You know
bro.
what I mean?
Like, come on, dog. I can't stop for a second to go to the bathroom. Like,
not to mention that you get, well, I say you like you're the only one doing this, but like I got paid a decent wage. You get paid.
Servers don't get paid crap, bro.
Like not even
I know
minimum wage.
Before anyone in the comments, and there's no one in the comments, but before anyone gets all heated watching this, if anyone's even watching, I know that the whole point of the server being minimum wage is because it's the minimum wage, and then obviously you get tips, so then that oversides that. The thing is, though, it still shouldn't be set up like that because actually it's not even minimum wage. I take that back. That's a mistake on my part. I wasn't even getting minimum wage. I was getting almost $2.50 an hour.
Yeah, and yeah, not even sometimes because like
it was like $2.33, $2.35, something like that.
And like when I put in my 2 weeks at that job, I'm convinced that they never really saw my last check. Like I know that I got like $200 worth of it, but also $200 in 2 weeks, that's bullshit. like you've only paid me half of that shit. But I also like it wasn't worth like calling them and be like, yo, you guys jipped me out of money. It just was not worth it, dude. Because the job itself was already tiring as it was.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather just be done with it, and just move on and never do it again. Just never.
Yeah.
Or if it is going to be a restaurant, it's just not going to be that one because I'm sure that there's other ones that are ran pretty smoothly. Like if I was ever to be a server, yeah, being paid $2 an hour still sucks, but at least it'd be organized and the management would be good.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I guess bottom line just wasn't ideal. It didn't really work out. That wasn't my favorite job ever. Definitely not.
Do you regret taking the job?
No, because I still look at it as a learning experience. Like I was still able to get better time management skills when it comes to certain things. I also opens up my opportunities to possibly be a server at a different restaurant in the future because I've never had serving experience before this job. We had a similar thing at the movie theater we used to work at. We had a similar kind of setup when it came to like running the concessions and stuff, but it wasn't like serving where you have to keep track of all the tables. You have to be sprinting around this restaurant getting people their refills and all that stuff. So it was different enough. Mm-hmm. So I think it was still a pretty good learning experience. And then I won't lie, tips were good. Don't get me wrong. It was nice.
Like I mean,
tips were pretty solid.
Like even though I worked at the delivery desk and shit, I still got tips, and they honestly were not too bad. Like it just added on to like what I was already making, so it was nice. Like it wasn't as much as you because you'd be making like maybe like what like I want to say $200 a night.
If it's a really good night, then yeah.
But
if it's crappy. Let's put it this way. If I made $100 a night, I was pretty happy. It was pretty solid because then I would work, because I worked almost all week, if not all week. So anywhere from 5 to 7 days in a row with about $100 to $200 a night every single night. It's not bad. Not bad. I'd rather go back to my theater job or...
I do miss the theater sometimes. I really do.
It was a lot of fun.
I think I just miss... the time that it was because we like, and a lot of people are gonna disagree with what I'm about to say, but I miss high school, and the reason why is because I miss really having nothing to worry about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like because like the thing is that you went to school 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And you had that job.
Don't mind me looking away from the thing.
Wait, what?
My bad.
No, you're good. No,
it made a noise back there. I was like,
you were like, oh shit. No,
my bad.
No, you're good. No, but like you went to school 5 days a week. You had maybe a after school job that paid well enough for you to be able to buy yourself food, gas, and all that shit. Mm-hmm. And you didn't really have any bills to pay because your parents were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
what I really miss is the summer after graduation, but before college. That is a very, very special time. Like, granted, that specific time for me didn't go amazingly in a lot of ways because there was a lot of toxic people in my life at the time, but it also gave way to new, more positive and great experiences at the same time. And it was that weird in between where it's like you have responsibilities coming up and you have that time to grow and evolve, but you still kind of have like that childlike bliss where you can just kind of relax and do whatever you want at the same time. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like
you're in a bubble.
Yeah, but like I remember why I left the theater. It was because we were out because like, well, I mean, you left before I did because you went off to college.
Literally, it was to come up here. Yeah,
to come up here. But I guess like for me, I was tired of doing the same exact thing over and over again. I felt like I hit my peak at the place, so that's why I just left. Because I got promoted and got a little bit more pay, a little more responsibility, but then also people that I once like worked with just kind of started slowly dropping off to the point where I was basically the only OG left.
Yeah,
and that's when you know it is time to leave a job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just being able to work in a place where you're like excited to see the people that are there. I think that's what I wanted, and that was just gone at that point. So that's why I left. But I miss the times before that where, you know, it's like you were excited to go to work. Whereas like you would wake up, be like, oh shit, I gotta work today. Let's do it.
Yeah,
like,
you have the whole squad there ready to go.
Yeah.
You got the good managers, you got the good crew, you got the good night. Like it's decent flow of business, but nothing like, you know, shoot your face off like crazy. Like
yeah, no, it's awesome, dude, and I miss it. But now,
and
like,
the free movies didn't help either.
Dude. We saw Dora for fucking free. You saw it twice.
Well, I'm not gonna pay for it. Like,
I mean, I still would have paid for it. Honestly, I fucking love that movie. I don't care. It's I love it because it's bad. That's why. Like, and
it's a so bad it's good movie. If you haven't seen Dora and the Lost City of Gold, this is not a sponsorship, but I wish it was, because that'd be hilarious. Go watch it. It's terrible, but it's worth it.
Dude. Well, I mean, look, wait. I can't remember. What was the first reason as to why you saw it the first time?
First time I went to go see something with my girlfriend, and that was the only showing at the time that we were gonna go. We only had like time to go see something in like the late afternoon, and it was either that or like some boring documentary that was out at the time. So I'm like, we're fine.
You're like, fuck it, we're seeing Dora.
We're seeing Dora. And then the second time it was with you and our other friend, because I was running reviews on my Instagram at the time. So I wanted to like, I could focus more on like the actual note-taking process versus just watching the movie the first time. So,
I find it very hard to believe that that movie was made for kids. When there is a scene where they were all high on shrooms.
Yeah, there's a straight up drug trip. Like straight up, it's basically a whole.
Didn't somebody strip down to their underwear in that scene, dude?
Yeah, I mean, but it was animated, so that's how they got away with it.
No,
that's how they got away with it.
There's no excuse for that shit. If YouTube is mad at that, bro, and I can't post shit like that, I don't think that should get into theaters, dog. Like I think that's some bullshit. You know, because like, you know, like the whole YouTube thing with, you know, like COPPA and all that shit. Like, I understand what they're trying to do, but also that fucks a lot of creators over, because now they can't make certain content without YouTube going like, excuse me, is this targeted for kids? No, bro, I'm playing a game. Like, this is not for kids. I literally say the F-bomb 5 times. It's not for kids. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I got you.
But transitioning into some news topics, some news stuff that I know that you'll be interested in. I know that we've talked a little bit about this already, but Insomniac Games.
Oh, let's go! God, I'm so excited, bro.
So in the news, Insomniac Games released a teaser trailer for Spider-Man 2.
Let's go there.
So if you haven't seen it yet, I'm gonna let Bailey break down what happened inside the thing if you haven't seen it. But
so
break it down for me.
I'll be honest, right? I'm not a huge gamer. I'm getting more and more into it now that I have a console again. I haven't had like a real console in over like 10 years. And it was mainly just playing at friends or playing with friends, like in their rooms rooms. I can't talk. You just cut that out. It's fine. No.
I'm
but
not cutting that out. That's gonna stay in there, bro.
Fuck.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
So basically in 2018, they dropped Insomniac's and Marvel's Spider-Man, or as most people refer to it, Spider-Man PS4.
Right.
It's called Spider-Man Remastered now for the PS5. It's great. It's my favorite game of all time. I could replay that any day of the week. It's so much fun. It has flaws. Like, any of the brutes. But
Oh God, don't get me fucking started on the bruise, bro. Literally, I'll press circle, right? And then they'll still the dodge, and they'll still fucking hit me. I'm like, bitch, like, what's the point of dodging if you're gonna hit me anyway? Like,
challenge. Nah,
fuck the challenge, bitch. That's the bullshit.
Anyway, though, so that game's great. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite iteration of Spider-Man. It's so good. And that's another thing, too. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I've grown up with that character. He's such a good character. There's so much potential there. But that means it's hard to find really good stories from him or really good media from him when a lot of it's repetitive. This one feels fresh. Like they're taking stuff from the comics, but also making it unique to its own point of view. And then they also made Miles Morales, which is basically an extended DLC, but it's still its own game.
Because it's essentially the copy and paste.
Yeah.
It's
a smaller version of the original game, but it's all focused on Miles, which is awesome. And it was such a great game. And the story is great. They improved anything that we had a problem with Spider-Man, the original game. They remastered it. Like, the swinging is so much better in Miles. Not that it's that much better, but it's still better than the original.
Well, I mean, like, they gave him more the combo moves, like when you're flipping in the air and stuff.
It's
they gave
smoother
him a little more,
too.
It's smoother,
and that comes with it being
exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
Oh God,
motherfucker!
You knew what you were doing with that. Don't lie. Was it IGN or something? I think that was
something
IGN.
like that. I don't remember who it was, but that biggest meme for that game. But yeah,
that comes with it being part of a next gen console though too. So it's like the graphics and the animation and the movement and articulation, all of that, it went up in quality. So now we've had those two games. We've known since the last game that they were making a second one, but we didn't know about Miles. They had that hidden. So then all of a sudden when it came closer to the PS5 being announced, all of a sudden it was like, oh, hey, we're doing Miles Morales, by the way. It's like, oh shit. So
yeah.
Now we're finally getting to some Spider-Man 2 news, and I expected eventually they're going to have to put out something because it's like they've been working on it for how long now? There's got to be at least something in the works.
Especially since Miles Morales is basically, again, the same exact coding, same exact game.
Yeah, so it pretty much was
things.
More expensive DLC in a lot of ways, which it still served its purpose though. It wasn't a DLC because it wasn't just like hey, I finished this in 30 minutes. Like, no, this is still a game. It's just smaller in scale. But Spider-Man 2, they dropped the trailer the other day, and I can't talk, man. I said trailer. Like, really, bro?
I'm flaming you for that later. Anyway,
that's the pinned comment, trailer. Anyway, but no, it was in this room, literally over there at our desks. I came back from class, and as soon as I sat down, I looked at Twitter because my phone was blowing up. I was like, oh crap, what's going on? It's never blown up like this in a while. Insomniac Spider-Man 2, and I was like, oh shit, Ryan, and he had his headphones in. I grabbed this man by the shit, like, Ryan, yeah, look.
You scared the shit out of me.
And we both watched it at the same time. So it's coming out 2023. It looks really dope, and not to spoil anything, I won't bring it up anything from the original two games if you haven't played them in terms of the story-wise, but Venom is confirmed to be in the second game, as well as I think Kraven the Hunter, who's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. So it's like, ooh, let's go.
Yeah, it was really dope because I remember like my jaw dropping when we were watching it, bro. I was like, oh shit. But it's
Tony Todd's voicing Venom. Yeah. That was so Candyman is voicing Venom. Let's go, bro.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect cast choice too.
It's gonna be really good.
What are your hopes for the game? Like, are you hoping for like any specific game? Like are you hoping for like a new game mode, or are you kind of like expecting like the same exact game? Almost?
I want this to be a PS5 game. Meaning I want this to be exactly why people should get the PS5. I want it to take advantage of all of the new features from the PS5, all the things that make it worth buying, integrate that into this game, still give us what we loved from the original games, but also find ways to improve stuff from both games, which is already a hard task because they're pretty solid games. Like, I got everything I wanted out of those two games. Now it's time to see what happens. I don't know how I feel about Spider-Man having like these mechanical arms in the new trailer. Like
Really?
if that's part of his suit, because for me it feels very clunky and like heavy and like not very nimble, which is kind of one of the most defining traits of Spider-Man's like fighting style, is very acrobatic. So co-op would be cool. And if it's not co-op, then having the ability to switch off between Miles and Peter throughout the story, and then eventually unlocking who you want to play as after the story's done. I want just a continuation of the great narrative they have. Like the actual narrative and lore in this game is really, really good. And it's one of the best versions of Spider-Man I've seen in a long time. So it's just, if they can keep that up without screwing anything up, I'm sold. It'll be pretty dope.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything that I want too. I mean,
I'm not hard to please either.
Yeah,
so
I mean, more so for me because I know, because like, one thing that I do compare this game to, which is another really popular superhero game, which kind of for me really set the standard for future games for any superhero. The Arkham series for Batman. You know,
it's very similar.
It's very well. I mean, it's similar in terms of like the game mechanics of like how each enemy is basically surrounding you and you're basically choosing what enemy to attack, and the flow of said fight style for each character, and how when you press X, you punch, bam, you're punching an enemy. You can counter, do whatever you want. There's also a combo counter too. Like I think that both games do that very well.
Yeah.
But Arkham was the you know, the game that really started that style of gameplay for characters like Spider-Man. But what Arkham Knight did very well was, and more so Arkham Origins did this better too. But they were able to do co-op to where, you know, players can play as Batman and Robin at the same time. I mean, granted, they had to make it creative to the Batman universe. Like, for example, in Arkham Origins, I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember in the games where, like, it was like disc 2 for Arkham Origins, where you can play online, and it randomizes you to 3 different teams: Batman and Robin. I'm
remembering.
Yeah, the Joker gang and then the Bane gang, because those are the 2 main villains of the game. You're basically doing, so like if you're on either of the gang side, you're essentially playing Fortnite because it's third person shooting, but Call of Duty rules essentially, and you're getting kills and getting points for your team. If you're on the Batman side or Batman and Robin side, what you're doing is you're trying to take out as many enemies as possible, just like you're doing in a stealth mission inside the story of the game. So that was a good co-op way for you to play both as Batman and Robin. And it was a randomized thing to where it's like, if you hop online and you're like, hey, I want to play Batman online, cool. You can hop into a lobby and it'll randomize you to be Batman, Robin, or one of the gangs, right? And then in Arkham Knight, inside the story too, you were able to switch characters too. What I wish that they would have done was, let's say like for that specific mission, you can play that one by yourself, but then when you're done with the story, you can go back and play that as co-op with other people. I think that they should do that same exact thing with Spider-Man too, because Miles Morales is obviously in the game from the trailer.
Yeah.
So I think that they should incorporate the same thing from that game to where you can switch off in the stealth missions, and also combat missions too. Switch between different characters of who you want to fight with, because there was a button to toggle for that too.
Yeah.
On top of, if you get like what's what I'm looking for, like a high combat number, you can do a specific move where Peter and Miles are doing like a really big combo move together. We can both not talk today for some reason, but like
pinned comment combo and
but like a really big combo move, but like you have to get like 20 XP or something like that to do it. You know what I mean? Like I think that they should incorporate the same thing, because Arkham did that really well. Same with the stealth. Just switch between ones for the stealth too. I think that they can do that, and then to make it different, because you know everyone's gonna be all like, hey, they're just copying Arkham. They should allow you to go back and play those, but with other people, to make it 2-player. Maybe not during the story, because that's kind of hard to do while trying to tell a good story with all the cut scenes and all that stuff. That's really hard to do, but you should be able to go back and play those with other people with you there. Obviously up to 2 players, but still.
The only other thing I can think of that I would like in this game that I've seen a lot of people talk about, like what do you call it? Troyo Boyo 17, the fanboy rewrites or fanboy pre.
Yeah.
I love that channel, by the way. If you somehow watch this, bro, keep doing what you do. I love your videos, man. You're hilarious. But something I agree with him that I really want to see is like a symbiote shader. Because if Venom's in the game, you're going to assume that at one point you're going to play as Spider-Man with a symbiote suit on. And then eventually it'll become Venom. What I want to see is this would be a smart way to integrate skins into the game. Even if it's just repurposing the old skins from the old game. Because I also heard there's a rumor of that they might just let you be able to access all of your old skins from the past 2 games. If you're able to do that, give it a shader, and then it can either be the base suit or what the symbiote would look like on top of it.
That's actually really
I think
cool.
that'd be kind of dope.
That is
especially
really cool.
And possibly if they can, even if it means making the file a little bigger or something. Give us a little bit more to do in terms of the free roam crimes that randomly pop up, because I feel like after you complete the game, it becomes very limited.
Well, I mean,
free roam.
it's very. I mean, this is obvious in both games. They just recycle the same crime over and over again.
Yeah, so maybe just do like a little bit more with that. But again, it depends on where the story is and what they're doing with that too. Because I'm pretty sure they are very story driven at that studio anyway. Because just looking at their, not filmography, but gameography, I guess would be the term or something like that.
I don't know.
Looking at their portfolio of games, it's very narrative based, it looks like. So we'll just have to see. I don't know. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. And they're making a Wolverine game too.
I was actually gonna mention that.
I was like,
too.
yo, whoa, back up.
So like before you showed me that trailer too, or not really a trailer, it was more of like a 10-second teaser. But you asked me like what character do you think that they would make a game for? And I was thinking of like, I thought of 2 characters. I thought of the Hulk, because I know that a lot of people love this game, but the old Hulk game for Xbox 360, absolute garbage. Like I think because like I've seen videos for it too. I never played it personally, except when my brother, because he was obsessed with watching YouTube videos for that game for some reason. My dad got him the actual game for Xbox 360, so he played it for a bit. So I played it a bit. And the thing is, they just rely heavily on you being able to just jump around. That's it. Like that super jump that he does. That's his main form of travel. And I don't like that. I mean, you can incorporate that if you want to, if you're going to make a Hulk game. But then also his main form of combat is just picking stuff up and throwing it. It gets boring very quickly. I know that that's Hulk's main MO. But I think they should have added a little bit more move sets instead of just throw something, Hulk smash. Like that was it, you know what I mean? So I thought that they would have made a game for him, because obviously it was done horribly before.
Yeah.
But also I was also thinking of characters like maybe Black Widow, Hawkeye, where if they were going to incorporate, you know, the web shooting that the web shooting that they did inside the game previously, how you know, like you have to aim and shoot. Hawkeye would have been a great thing for that. Black Widow would have been good for that, because you know, she has guns and he has arrows. You can just incorporate and he also has trick arrows too in the comics, so you could have added that too.
Make it like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or like a S.H.I.E.L.D. game, and then the main characters would be someone like Black Widow or Hawkeye.
Exactly.
But then you can play as multiple different agents that are part of S.H.I.E.L.D. and use that to introduce other characters. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, I was thinking of that, but then when you said Wolverine, I was like, I like it. Don't get me wrong, but my main skepticism is, what is the moveset going to be like?
He also has the healing factor, which makes him immortal, basically, or invincible. So it's like they would just have to, obviously, with game logic, you could still die because there's no challenge then.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of figuring out how they can make that work. Like the Berserker Rage that he tends to do in the comics and movies, just make that like a power up or like his ultimate or whatever, but it only lasts for a little time and then you have to let it get time to build up again.
Yeah, like what I like what they did with Miles Morales is that when you unlocked the Venom Punch thing, you were supposed to build that up. You can't just use it anytime you want, because then not only is he OP, but then there's no challenge. Exactly. So you had to build it up. Same with his invisibility. You can just use that shit anytime you want, but And
after a certain time,
you get
dissipate. Yeah.
That, and some people could abuse that like I do when I'm getting absolutely fucked up and I'm like, hold up, fuck no, time out. I just
Yeah, get out of there.
I need a timeout. Yeah. So I think that they did a good job of doing that. I feel like they can find a way to like maybe they'll use his invincibility for healing like they do in the Spider-Man games where you can use XP points to heal yourself.
Yeah.
So like that's probably what they'll use it for.
And if Insomniac's doing it, they've already proven with 2 stellar games that they can handle this kind of like format. It's just a matter of figuring out what makes sense for each character. Like the most obvious choice I've seen a lot of people talk about that I personally think would be best was a Daredevil game. Because
that's another character that would work.
He's already basically related to Spider-Man in a lot of ways, including sharing the villain Kingpin. But also, he travels a lot of the same way. He has like those baton things, but they also have like ropes and grappling attached to them. So you could arguably still do the same thing as Spider-Man when it comes to swinging. I wouldn't, because then that's like what makes Spider-Man special then.
Yeah.
But you can still like have Daredevil have that kind of traversal mode, mainly like parkour, like Assassin's Creed, make it an Assassin's Creed style
that would
game.
be the closest thing that you could do for that. Yeah,
and then use it to where, because you're blind and all that, you have to like navigate things correctly, or that could be part of the challenge of like navigating this world, is we have to see it through Daredevil's eyes, which is like they in comics and stuff they've made it like, oh, he sees the world as on fire, is like because of the acid that got in his eyes, it makes like the retinas burn or whatever. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think that would be cool, but I'm really excited either way for Spider-Man.
Yeah,
2.
I mean, obviously it was just announced, so they're probably right now just working out the character models inside the computer right now.
Or
like
if they're even further than that, it's only like halfway done.
Yeah, like it's not even close to being 100% done. So obviously,
I said 2023, so that could be any time during that year. That could be winter 2023.
Yeah, so obviously, like I have my skepticism for the Wolverine part. I know that Spider-Man 2 is going to be phenomenal.
Wolverine doesn't even have an announcement. Never mind.
Yeah, no,
Wolverine's not even close.
Yeah,
to
so it's
done.
like they're probably not even close to done with that game. Plus, they're working on Spider-Man right now. So unless if they are working double hours working on both games, that's not gonna come out anytime soon.
And if Spider-Man 2 does well, which most likely it will because the first 2 have done well, Miles probably will get his own sequel, maybe, but
make it a bigger game, because honestly, not that I hate it, but definitely Miles Morales, the game is way shorter than it needed to be, because I feel like they could have done way more with the character, but also in their defense,
they're trying to crank it out in a decent amount of time too.
That and he's only been a character like in terms of his existence for like a decade.
So there's not a whole lot of source material to pull from that doesn't involve the Spider-Verse, because that's how most people know him now.
And if anything, they for a lot of the game they just recycled current Spider-Man villains anyway. But just retcon a couple things.
Yeah, like make Tinkerer his villain in this game, because not to get too into the plot, but like Peter's gone for 3 weeks, or not even 3. He's gone for a few weeks, so Miles basically has to protect New York on his own, and he's just becoming his own Spider-Man. So they repurposed the Tinkerer instead of it being a Peter villain. In this case, it's more related to Miles, and I won't give away the twist or anything, but yeah. So I could see them doing a full game for Miles that isn't Spider-Man Miles Morales. They could just the next time just call it like Miles Morales. Or something. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't need a whole second game, because then it's like
maybe
Spider-Man. I was about to say that we also didn't know that Miles Morales was going to get a game either, though. So
they could also kill Peter off and then give him another game. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't want him to kill him off until they make like a third game.
Yeah, at least give Peter this trilogy, and then maybe he could die in the third one. And then
just like they did with Arkham, whereas like Arkham Knight, since this game has been out for 6 years, so I'm gonna spoil it. But like, like how Scarecrow revealed Batman's identity to the entire world, including Gotham. He had a Nightfall protocol in which he'll just fake his death, and then you can't play as him ever again, obviously, because his story is over. I think they can do the same thing, just actually kill him. You know what I mean? So
that makes sense.
If they really wanted to do it, but then also, since it's a game and not a movie, there is post game still. So you would have to like rewind time, basically, be like, yeah, he didn't die, by the way. You can still play as him, but like he's dead now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I'm sure they'll figure it out. But there's also another thing that is related to this that I wanted to talk to you about because there's a part of Twitter that's talking about the game. And it's kind of bringing up this point. So I'm going to quote somebody from Twitter. His name is I can't even speak today. I can't say this word. Degenerate J at Degenerate J, which he does make YouTube videos. Shout out to him. He's awesome. Cool videos. But he said on Twitter, quote, let me clarify before saying anything. This is not Insomniac or any other game developer's fault. But if Sony is going to be pushing more and more exclusives in marketing, they should make the console that those exclusives are for, or that the exclusives are for, available other than the scalpers. As in, like, they should probably wait to promote exclusives until they have a for sure source of, you know, actual makings of the current console, as well as trying to find a specific system to where people aren't just buying them and then selling them for more. Because don't get me wrong, I understand why Sony has not done shit about this, because either way it benefits them. They're getting money either way. But the problem is less people are now going to be buying the games because nobody is buying the PS5 for the extra cost. I mean, you did because you were desperate at that point.
I was desperate. And then on top of that, I also did it at like the right place and right time. I found a good deal. Like, most people will buy the console for about $1,200 now. And that's just the console, the controller that comes with it, and like the cords. And that's it. Versus I got all of my accessories, the console, and a game, which was Miles Morales, all that for $1,200 versus the console and the controller by themselves for $1,200. So it was like it was a really good deal and a good bargain. And I also had saved up so much money to that point from working both at Amazon during the pandemic. Like, I built up a decent amount from there and from my restaurant job this summer. So it worked out to where it was like, you know what? I see an opening. This might be the only chance I get it for a reasonable price. Even though it wasn't reasonable, but still, like, it's better than nothing. I got it. I agree with what he's saying, though. I think it's BS because it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm not as worried about it now because I have one. I have a 5.
But you shouldn't have had to pay $1,200 to get the PS5. Exactly. You should have been able to buy it for $600, like everybody else, or not everybody else, but how you typically would have in the past. Because I remember when the PS4 dropped, it was just like, I want to say like $500, like right off the bat, like and you can still get a PS4 now for probably like a couple $100 less, because obviously it's like 5 years old now. But still, if I can get a PS4 sooner than I can get a PS5, that's a problem.
Oh, no,
that's
doubt.
not my problem. That's a company problem.
So,
but I do agree. It's like,
and don't get me wrong. Do I love the 5? 1,000%. I love it.
Oh, the 5 is very nice. It's not mine, but it's nice.
But also, I love the price tag that I had it for? No.
And see, I knew that I was going to have to pay $1,200 too if I really wanted a PS5. And that's why I just use that money for a PC. Because not only can I use that for a multi-purpose thing like school, just watching stuff on it, I can game on it too. As long as it's powerful enough, I can game. I still do that now. Which, if you've been keeping up with the channel lately, you've seen I've been gaming a lot. But it's like, I just think that, I know it benefits them either way, but it's not going to benefit them in the long run when you want to release games that people can't even buy because they don't have the system for it. So that's why you saw them still releasing games for PS4, because they're like, oh, like some of you don't have it
yet. You could play it on PS4. So that would be my only thing, is like, at least if you can make them exclusive to just the PlayStation, not just the 5 or the 4, at least then that makes sense why they would still go about it. But not all games are going to be like that. And honestly, it makes no sense. If you have a whole new engine you spent all this money developing and now trying to make money back from, why would you go backwards?
It's just stupid. But Some more news though. So this already happened a little bit ago. By the time that we're recording this, it's probably gonna be released in the next upcoming week. So
Ryan saw the first episode of Rick and Morty.
well, that too, but also, so are you aware of the Olivia Rodrigo situation with how everyone is like, oh, this sounds a lot like insert artist here with her latest album, right?
Okay.
So if you do not know by now, I mean, you probably know by now because it's some big news. So, but Olivia Rodrigo and her legal team gave up, not with that voice crack though, but gave up partial writing credits to Paramore because
For Misery Business.
for
right?
Misery
Yeah.
Business. I wanted to ask you, since you're aware of that situation already, what do you think of that outcome?
I get why people think it's similar because no doubt it does sound similar, but I didn't see any real evidence that it was like similar enough to where you have to do the writers like rights, like the whole deal with sampling or with like music with like stealing, how people are like, oh no, this is sampled, or like, oh, I'm gonna sue for my rights because you took like, this song from me. It has to be like the same notes in the same 12 notes in the same order in the same key.
Exactly, because like one point that I saw was that like, and I totally agree with this. If they would have actually taken this to real court, if Paramore actually cared enough to take it to real court, they would not have a case, because I can't remember which song is which for this thing, but one song is, I think, 2 or 3 semitones lower than the other. Yes, it's the exact same chord progression, but in different keys. That's the thing. So that's where it makes it different. Yeah, they have some similarities in BPM, in song structure. I mean, one of the obvious ones is kind of like the post chorus, like I've lost my mind, I've spent like, and like that's obviously
Hell, even lyric and symbolism, it's
Yeah,
very similar songs and very.
but they're still different because they're in a different key, and also the verses are still different too. It's still a completely different song still.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have had a case in court. So for me, I feel like it was almost pointless to give them writing credits and consider it a sample when you've never seen that in other genres like hip hop and rap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, and I mean, it's a different argument for that because that's a whole big part of hip hop and rap. Like that's part of the culture. But even then, like you still don't see people doing that because that's just part of the culture. It's the same for any other genre of music.
Yeah.
We like, for every piece of music, we're all sharing the same 6 letters on a scale, and we're all sharing the same chords and same equipment and everything. So it's going to be really hard to be original, especially since basically in any creative medium, things have already been done countless of times. You see this in movies, TV, and in music. The only way for it to be where it's like, oh shit, you copied me is like Ice Baby stealing the exact bass line from another song. Like that's different.
And that was like the one that sparked that whole topic of conversation too. So it's like that's the easiest one to reference because that's literally what happened. Versus it's always a debate whenever a new song comes out and it sounds similar to another one. Like that's the whole the Marvin Gaye song versus Blurred Lines. Marvin Gaye's estate was sued Robin Thicke, or like went after Robin Thicke because of that song, because apparently it was the exact same song. To me, I don't think it is.
I think there's still 2 different songs. Like, yeah, again, it's another case where they're using the exact same chord progression, but they're different enough in terms of production, percussion, other things in the song for them to be different. Just because it's the same chord progression, because then if you've already used a chord progression from another song, you're practically stealing now. In the eyes of the law, when in reality, I can name countless songs that have the chord progression of C, A minor, G, and F.
I was just about to say, literally there's countless videos out there. Hell, Axis of Awesome, this is a good example. Axis of Awesome does a song called the 4 Chord Song, and they basically rattle off like all of the songs that they could think of that has the exact same 4 chords. While they may not be in the same order and they may not be in the same key all the time, they put them all in the same key to prove that all of these are basically the same song, as long as you make it different enough to where it's not just copying the exact same thing.
Yeah, because like obviously you can have the same chord progression if you make like the chord progression of C, A, or C, A minor, G, and F, and put that a semitone up to make it C sharp, A sharp, stuff like that. That's what would make it different. But at the same time, it still has the same bass. So it's like, what is the line of copying? What is the line of stealing?
Yeah.
And like, I think that's a question that is going to affect the rest of the music industry now. Because I mean, there's even some artists like Adam Levine who said it's like, hey, there's been countless of songs that I wrote that sound a lot like songs that I was inspired by, but they're different enough, and for it to be okay to release, and not even that. That's just the thing that a lot of artists accept. Sometimes, like when you get inspired by something, you're gonna kind of take a little bit of it. Make it your own, you know. That's
a
just
cultural
a part of being an
impact
artist
too.
Yeah.
That's a cultural thing because it's like, dude, look at like how many love ballads there are out there. Every time a new one comes out, that's because it's like, oh hey, there hasn't really been one of these in like 10 years or whatever. Okay, there you go. It's pretty much just your own stamp in history too. Because like, Good For You is a good example. There are a million breakup songs. Like a million breakup songs. This just happens to be the most recent attempt at one, and it's popular, and there's nothing wrong with that, except for the fact that the whole album's about that. But anyway, that's a separate issue.
Have you
but
listened to the album?
Almost all of it.
Okay, so like, what was your speaking of Olivia, what was your opinion on the album? Like,
It was
did you love
okay.
it? Did you hate it? Like, what's your main
It's
gripes
mid.
with it?
Like, she's not. Again, it's kind of hard. Like, that's not really like for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not the target audience for that music. So I'm not going to sit here and really relate to it as much. I do like what I've heard from a couple of those songs. That's about it. I mean, she's also it's hard when someone's very early in her career. Like, Billie was hard too. Like, when she first came out, I was like, oh my God, isn't she her favorite artist ever? I'm like, no.
It's her first album, like,
Not to mention,
not even first album. Like, this is her first like official album. Like, yeah, she had an EP before that, but she was still like a smaller
hell,
artist.
at the time it was like a single, and I'm like, it's really good, but so yeah, I don't know. It was okay. It's not my favorite.
I think for me personally, and I feel like this is a lot of like the same argument that a lot of people have made, but when you make 11 songs about the same breakup, and it's like you're still mad about the same thing in each song, the album gets stale. Now the songs,
that's my problem with it too. Yeah.
It's like the songs specifically, they're not bad songs. Like if you would have taken like Jealousy, and taken this off of this album and said, hey, this is a new song by somebody named like Oliver
Day or some shit. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, I would have been like, oh shit, okay, cool song, without the context of the album. But when it's on the context of the album, the main problem is that you're mad about the same thing. Like, don't get me wrong, it's completely valid to be hurt.
No doubt.
I think Mr. Wives with Super Bloom, they did they did the exact same premise but way better, because they made the album about the stages of the breakup. You know, like the first like few tracks are about when it first happened, how she felt, how it was so sudden, and then like the middle part of the album is just about how angry she felt right after that, how she wanted to raise hell and be like and to become her own person, and then the last part of the album is her accepting the fact that it happened, even being open to new love. The last 3 tracks are about
like someone else that she's with currently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like she as a writer did that way better. Like she told that story way better because she didn't just dwell on one part of the breakup.
And don't get me wrong, you definitely want to take inspiration from places of pain or places of hard times. You know, hard times. Anyway, speaking of Paramore,
yeah,
that's a good song. That's a bop.
Yeah, that is a good song.
I can totally see where taking that as inspiration is a good idea. But then, yeah, like we said, when it's 11 songs about the exact same breakup and the exact same things about the breakup that pissed you off, it gets very stale. Good For You is good, That's because it's like, okay, hey, you did that in one song. Now, what else do you want to talk about? Like, an album is supposed to be an overall experience, but it's also supposed to have, like, not supposed to. I shouldn't, like, there's no rules really, but like, a good album has a flow. It has sort of a current that you want to follow, and that comes with like many different symbolism and meanings and metaphors, all related to an overall theme. But you want like several things in there for it to be more like for its depth to be greater versus just sitting there and being like, oh hey, this guy pissed me off when he broke up with me. I'm hurt. Wah.
Yeah.
Make 11 songs just about that.
And it's more complex than that. Like I think like there's a couple songs
that was
where
a bad
it's
way of explaining
like
it. But
like there's a couple different things that are on the album topically, but the main consensus of it is, hey, my boyfriend broke up with me. I'm hurt by that. Let's make 11 tracks about that.
Yeah.
About that one emotion instead of maybe going through, hey, like it's been 6 months since it happened. How you been feeling from that? You know what I mean? And in her defense, I did some research on the album too. Originally, it was supposed to be an EP, but like not the last minute, but like I think like towards the end of them completing the EP, she was like, I want to make this an album. So she wrote like 5 more songs for it, 6 more songs for it. So in that sense,
EPs would have been more better for that sort of thing.
Because then
it's smaller.
If it was just about that one topic, okay, an EP would have fit that way better. But because you forced it to be an album, not that it's a bad album, like I think she did really well with the 6 songs or 6 more songs that she wrote for it. It makes the album a little more stale because again, you're just talking about the same thing over and over again. Yeah, it's just getting repetitive. So
yeah,
but
yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
The podcast is back, baby. That's a wrap for the episode, man. We're going to try to do one episode every week. So this is going to come out next week. And then next week we'll film another one as the one is dropping. So be on the lookout for that. Also a shameless plug because I'm an editor for another podcast. Shout out to All Sports Now. They're
Shameless plug.
they're my man Corey Sparks over there, he's trying to drop an episode every 2 weeks. So if you're into sports, check out All Sports Now too. But yeah, podcast is back. If you've been rocking with me for this long, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening on whatever podcast platform you're on. Big thanks to Bailey for being my co-host. You are amazing, my guy.
I try.
And yeah, comment down below some stuff that you want us to talk about, whether it's the news, some opinions that you want us to have, anything like that. I'm open for that stuff. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.